Okay, so camera's rolling. So okay. You and I have been talking a lot about, last time we talked, we really talked about fear. You know, that when we feel fear, our brain is wired to avoid it, run away from it. Paralyzation, like being paralyzed by it, trying to hide, fighting it, right? In other words, survival mode, or fight or flight. And it really changes how our brains work, because our brains are, what happens is we get tunnel vision. Not just you, but everybody who has this. This is millions of years of evolution working very well. So when you feel fear, especially fear of what people think, fear of inadequacy, fear of failure, those really come from ancient survival mechanisms trying to survive in small packs and tribes in the wilderness. So if you are inadequate, the likelihood of having problems is really high. If you were to be judged, your likelihood of, if there was famine, if there was hardship, people who were struggling would be shunned and left to live on their own in the wilderness, just for the best of the survival of the pack. And it happened for enough millions of years that it's still hardwired and ingrained in us. In fact, some of the studies they think that not much evolution has happened over the last 8,000 years besides skin and hair and some minor physiological things, right? So when you look at how long it takes evolution to occur, it's like thousands of years. Thousands and thousands of years. So we're looking at 20, 30,000, years ago of this type of pack and tribal fear response. Anyways, so tell me, you're really struggling. You're having a very hard time.
Yeah,
And what is it correlated to? Social outings, or is it like 4th of July stuff? What's going on?
Just feeling boxed in, trapped, and
with what?
Just in my body, just feeling like I'm just keep making it worse.
Got it. Body image. Body image. Do you remember when we talked about? And it does get worse. Like, you're not just feeling something in your head. Physically, things will get worse.
Yeah, like my feet. Never before have I had pain. I have shooting pains that happen in my feet, and I don't want to be the victim of it, but it's very real, and they'll just throb. And I'm just going, what have I created? Look, I'm not getting it on this end, but I'm making it worse on this end. And it's just a very, it's like, I just want to quit everything. I feel like I just want to quit, but I can't quit because I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to go back to dieting. I'm not going to go back to, I've closed all those doors. I even went and laid down today, and I just closed all the doors, and I just laid there, and I just get to be present, and that's what I choose.
It's not easy. Have you ever watched any of the YouTube videos where I talk to people and I say you've backed yourself into a corner because you're still using these issues with food? Your body's getting bigger now, and you're feeling even more angst with your body because the body image thing still exists. If there's anything you're getting out of this, it's that. Like, holy crap, I did have fear of gaining weight. And if I have afraid of gaining weight, I still have to hold on to the dieting. I can't eat this. I shouldn't eat that. I can eat that, but I can only have 2 bites, right? That's fear. That's what we talked about last time. Fear transfers into restriction with food, especially if food is the monster, right?
Well, and I refuse to restrict. I haven't, but...
but you are restricting in your mind.
Yeah, and I don't refuse to not overeat, though. It's like, I won't compensate by eliminating, but I'm definitely willing to do more.
Okay, but here's the thing. What you're not seeing, Carolyn, is that you are eliminating. It's just not happening. You're in your mind eliminating. It's you're mentally feeling, okay, you may not be actually eliminating. What you're noticing is the outcome, which is I'm eating more, and I'm eating more and more and more. Why can't I stop? Right? That's obvious. That's obvious to everybody, right? What's not obvious to you is the actual feelings of I shouldn't be eating this. I shouldn't. There is that there. That has to be there for you to have this impulse with food. So the underlying feelings of, and this is what I was just heading to. So the fear you have about your body projects into fear with food. So if you feel about the way you do about your body, I want you to just observe this. About your feet, about your fatness, about not wanting to gain more, about feeling the pressure, right, to try to stop what's going on with your body. That projects into a pressure to restrict. That pressure to restrict is why you're overeating. And you feel bad about it. So the moment you feel bad about it, what happens to the food consumption?
It apparently is going up. I didn't make that connection.
That's okay. So you see what I mean by this is really good. This is good. This is progress to me, because now you're seeing it. You're in the presence of it right now. And I'm so glad you reached out to talk this morning. This is where these sessions can make a real impact, because you're in it right now. It's not us going back to the last time you binged and then you not recalling the whole thing. You're in it. This is good. But I want to go through that again so that you can hear it and really think back and understand. And then it just snowballs, because when you're overeating, the pressure with your body gets bigger. It's a horrible dichotomy here between the body and the angst you have with your body. That is getting worse. The pressure, because of the fear involved in the ego, we could say, attached in there, and the assumptions you might have made around I won't gain weight if I give myself freedom. Everybody thinks that, right? But the fear of gaining weight ultimately projects into having to manage food to some degree somehow, right? So you are probably significantly restricting food less. You're not doing anything close to what you used to do, correct?
Right.
In fact, giving yourself that freedom may be there because you're so afraid to restrict, because you are afraid to binge. So you're just liberally eating, but it all comes from fear, because your fear of binging comes from your fear of the body image and the change that's happening because of this whole situation. Can you see now too why people fixate on the binging, why they think that's the problem?
Yeah.
It's hard to see because it's obvious. That's like, here's what's happening. This is obvious. What people don't look at is the issues underneath it all. The volcano exploding is clearly here on the surface. But underneath it all is pressure building around the body image.
Yeah.
Right? Can you see that?
Yeah.
So the more you feel bad about your weight, the more you feel it needs to be fixed. The feeling of I have to fix this. It has to be fixed. That feeling is at the core of everything.
Yeah.
So and the resolution.
I thought I was past it, and so.
No. And you find out when you start to get bigger and you start to have these issues. This is when you find out. It's like, oh, I'm holding on to that body image. May not be the same thinner ideology, but holding on to not getting bigger.
Yeah.
And what's amazing to me too is how we catastrophize it because of that emotional positionality that you're taking. So the position is still thinner is better. So even if you're accepting your fatter body because of the binging that you've done over the past year, thinner is still always better. And so thinner is always better relative to not gaining weight. So I am thinner than I am if I gain. So even if I'm fatter, I am still thinner than I am if I gain. So you're still holding on to thinner is always better. And the other crazy thing, well, do you remember last time we talked? You had said something and I was like, oh, there's something right there. And that there's, you had said to me, oh my God, it's right there in my head it was about health. You had said something.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what that was.
Well, if I think about it, I'll bring it back up. But there was in our last conversation to me an indication that there might be something.
Well, I know that I wanted to do the protocol.
Well, yes. And we had talked about, the intention integrity, and I think you kind of and that could have been a big trigger too. I see that all the time because the illusion of thinnerness it sparks. Oh, I could be thinner, and now you combine it with this freedom, and oh my God, it's going to be easy, and I'll be thin and healthy, and it's easy. And then I can help people like Robin. I've had people do that in their thinner body. It's just amazing, the fantasy that comes out of that. But what that tells me is that you still feel like shit inside.
Yeah.
There's a degree of struggle that still exists, and you're attaching it still to body and food.
Yeah.
And I do want to say that this in and out of recovery, almost everybody does this, right? It's very rare that I have a client that miraculously fully recovers really quick. And those clients who come to me are suicidal. They are right on the edge of they'd rather just die.
Uh-huh.
And so they have nothing to lose by going into the fear and the pain of death, right?
You're right.
So you're not there. Not to say you're not close, because this is miserable, right? I mean, this is horrible. Right. Yeah, like you wouldn't wish this on your worst enemy, because the physical part of this is uncomfortable, and that's coming from the impulsiveness to eat. The impulsiveness to eat comes from the anxiety you have about what you shouldn't be eating and how fat you're getting, and the angst around your body. And the angst around your body just comes from it being so identifying. So what you might be dealing with too is how identified you are by your body. How important the body has become in how you value life.
Yeah.
That it's not life that you're valuing. It's the body.
Yeah.
Even if you have foot pain, that could be sciatica. That could be coming from, this was what I was trying to remember. You had said something and blamed it on weight. About health. Or what was it? And I was like, hold on, you're assuming that's a weight problem. That it's not coming from, like diabetes, where I told you how I got diabetes with stress. Is that you that I was telling about that?
I'm not recalling it, but
I'm almost positive, because I remember going, there's some issues in there. She still is connecting body image to health.
Yeah, it's
the illusion of
health. I'm not
health.
sure what it was, but yeah, I'm sure that's true.
And it was something harmless too, by the way. It was something that we've been taught. All of us have been taught this by the diet industry, by the health industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something simple, and it was like, but that right there is how people believe.
Oh, was it when I was talking about that my spirit was controlling my body, or that I'd always wanted to have that control over my body?
Yes.
With the spirit.
I think so. I think that is it. And I remember thinking, that's not your business. Like your soul's purpose isn't meant to do that. Like some of this is taught from the indoctrination that you and I both had at a young age, by the way. There's, right? Like it's our job to keep a pure temple. It's like, whoa, hold on a second. How do we know what that is?
Yeah. And I was thinking I'd had this aha, but based on your reaction, I was like, oh man, that is a little twisted.
But it's not really, it's so, if you think about it, that's really innocent to think like that. But the thought of that really puts you on a whole lot of pressure to make sure that we treat our body the way it needs to be treated, you know, and that can be taken, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, and to have, I think I was happy at the idea of not really being like, just to, I was confusing that with freedom, that I just lived by, or, you know, like just the freedom of not see, the whole thing doesn't make sense. I was assuming that my spirit would just be in control, and now when I'm looking at it from a different angle,
that's backwards.
It's not honoring the body to do that.
No, it's what you said was backwards. It's like, no. Mm-hmm. Freedom is letting the body be its own entity. Having faith that millions of years of evolution is going to allow the body to sustain itself. The body needs very little from us. Right. It really needs very little. It can get what it needs. It can convert what we eat into what it needs. You know, all it needs is you to listen. Just go pee when you need to go pee. If you're tired, kind of like last night, I went to bed at 10:30 and woke up at 9.
Uh-huh.
I didn't plan that.
No.
My plan was to get up at 6:30, 7 o'clock to take the dogs out before it gets too hot. You know, I wasn't up super late the night. Anyway, so it's just, it doesn't need much from us. And so to take the role, and I think this is really important, that people don't twist what I'm saying here, and that you don't twist what I'm saying into, so should we smoke a bunch of cigarettes all the time? And should we just, you know, eat pumpkin pie every day, all day long? You know, well, of course not. But that's not what the body is messaging you to do.
Yeah.
Those are mental constructed issues that you've created with these objects of desire, right?
Uh-huh.
And then entitlement to it. And there's all sorts of baggage you're bringing and forcing onto the body. The body doesn't tell you to eat all that food. It's not. That right there is not what happens. It's, think of all the mental work that you were doing while you were eating and before in recent. You probably told yourself, I'm going to go, I'm going to eat to hunger, I'm going to let myself have what I want. But the whole time while you're looking at the table going, oh my God, I can't eat this, but I can't eat that, but I want this. Oh my God, pressure. I overate. Oh my God, I'm just sucky. I'm a piece of shit. I'll do better tomorrow. You eat more. Did you full-fledged binge, or was this just overeating? Continuous overeating?
This was closer to a full-fledged binge in my mind.
That means that you felt you failed. The failure part of it was very abrupt. And once you fail, that means you might as well get everything in.
It wasn't, the part of it that wasn't there is, I knew I wasn't going to fix it. It wasn't, but I did know that I would just deal with it later.
Okay, so hold on a second. I need you to hear how you just said, I'm not going to fix it, but I'll deal with it later. Do you see what's the difference between those two?
That I'll just deal with the fact that I'm gaining. I wasn't going to diet, but I was certainly
honestly, I think that you're not. You're thinking I'll eat to hunger tomorrow.
Yeah, probably.
Okay,
yeah.
So I'll deal with it later is my body. I will hope that my body, I will eat to hunger later. I failed today. So you're basically taking the hunger scale and using it as if it is your new diet. That also tells me that you are hoping to not gain weight. And this is so good for you. This to me is like, now you get it. Not just from me saying, okay, I want to make sure you're aware that if you're trying to prevent weight, or you're hoping you don't gain weight, or believing that if you do this properly, you won't gain weight, there's going to be a relapse point, and you hit it. This is what happens is you become, what happens to the protocol, or excuse me, the hunger scale is it becomes strict when it becomes black and white. And it's so gray. The whole hunger scale is mostly gray, right?
Yeah.
Because hunger isn't all nothing. There's a grade of hunger and there's a grade of satiation and fullness. So to make it black and white tells me that's an emotional decision, not a physiological decision, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That emotional decision of I have failed, even if you can feel I am full, the sense of failure comes from you, first of all, holding yourself to standards of recovery that it's like saying, I know it intellectually, I should know better emotionally.
Yeah.
And this is a lesson of saying, it doesn't matter if I get it intellectually. When I'm in the presence of what's going on, that's actually where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't hold myself to the intellectual awareness. That's not taking into account all of these emotions that I'm experiencing in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the intellectual knowledge of what's going on around eat to hunger, give yourself freedom, don't feel bad. All of that doesn't take into account your fear of gaining weight.
Uh-huh.
Add fear to gain weight. This is why I have to update Weight Loss Apocalypse. There's these types of bits of, like, I have to deepen the information around eat to hunger and make it not about your weight, which is the simplicity of that first version, right? Very simple.
Yeah.
It did not get into any detail other than you should be able to eat to hunger and not feel deserved of weight loss, right? The problem is people eat to hunger in fear of weight gain, and that changes the dynamic of the eating to hunger to a diet to where it's all or nothing, black or white. I screwed up. I failed. So then you eat the rest of the day because you've already failed, and it's failing the body image. Is what you're doing. Failing the ego image of recovery. This is so important. This is so important in this process, and you are so normal. Right?
I'm so glad to hear that. I feel bad for all of it.
Well, you're going through it. It's just think about how this feels from the inside. Do you think that you're the only one that has this struggle? Knowing how deeply entrenched that thin supremacy was. Do you not, look at the process of this.
I think I know I'm not the only one. I just am so tired of the way that I always think that I get it, and that I always had, I just always had this, like, oh, I'm supposed to get it, but then and I assume that I get it, and then I try to hold myself to this standard that I get it, and I don't really get it
emotionally.
And so on that level, and so I'm really taking a look at my willingness to not be good at this. That's great. It is progress. It just feels so, I still feel so heavy about it, and I just want it to be light and easy.
That will come when you have the humility, and you are. I know when you hear that, it's like, really, Robin? Me?
Yeah, but I don't.
Me? Lack of humility? Because when you probably hear lack of humility, you're thinking of someone who's very pompous and self-righteous, right? But when you look at, I get it. Here's something I did learn in my recovery is I cannot afford, and again, this really came, and not to say that this is your process of learning this. For me, it was suicidal, so I could not afford, literally, to step out of the bubble. Does that make sense? When I say step out of the bubble I was in was my reality. I cannot afford to leave reality, because anytime I leave reality, it's super destructive. And to stay in this reality means I have to have my belly up at all times. Willingness to be gutted.
Yeah.
And to some degree, I try to stay there to this day. There's moments I flip into that narcissism, and then I laugh at myself because I'm an animal who has that mechanism, and I laugh and go, oh my God, there's the suffering. I'm out. I'd rather be gutted. I'd rather be gutted. I'd rather splay myself open so I don't have to perform anymore. I'm done performing. That performing is hell on earth. You're in hell if you're trying to perform to a degree or level that you don't exist at. So stay in your existence. It is a very vulnerable place to be 24/7. You're living in vulnerability. I am doing it every day. I do it when I turn on the video. Every word I say, I'm living publicly, right? With people I don't know. And I'm living publicly with people who are suffering like you are. And some people aren't. And they just judge the hell of what I'm saying because they just don't get it. Living vulnerably when people come over. I had a barbecue on Saturday night. And everybody I'm interacting with, there's a vulnerability of them twisting what I say into something it's not because they have problems. And living in vulnerability with just wanting people to feel comfortable. And how do you make people feel comfortable? You can't. You know what I mean? It's just like a daily thing because we're wired this way as pack animals. And the only way to live in peace is to live in vulnerability.
Yeah.
And to be okay with your truth. Like, I'm never going to get it. I still am struggling at getting it. That's why I'm having a hard time verbalizing it to you on this video and getting it into a book. I still struggle to get it, and to understand it. All I know is I stay inside this bubble of vulnerability as if I'm willing to be gutted. But I tell the truth. I try to tell the truth about myself and my reality, and because I have nothing to lose if I do that. If I pretend or if I think I'm out, if I do that, I have something to lose.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what this is about, is the idea that you felt so free. And that's not uncommon. People go, oh my God, this is miraculous. This is a miraculous reaction. Before it was incredibly intense, super pinhole focused, tunnel visioned. I never thought there was a way to escape. And then all of a sudden the space gets bigger. And you're like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah.
And it is an elevation of consciousness. You can feel that. Yeah. What you're learning is it can be conditional freedom. It's not unconditional freedom. There are conditions that you have that take you down back into survival.
Yeah.
And that's what you're learning, is that just because I get it from one direction, and that gives me a sense of freedom, there may be a variety of different conditions that I am still afraid to feel and go there that bring me back down into it, into that survival mode, specifically with food. And that's why I'm like, this to me is you can hone in on this behavior. And to me, it's super predictable. Right? I am starting to look at this behavior in politics. Like, I'm seeing that this is unique. This is the same human brain functioning in this survival mode. To me, it's like, I get it when it comes to body image and eating disorders. It's super, super, super easy to read, and so this behavior around survival mode is conditional. What conditions very specifically can bring someone down into fight or flight? And you become dangerous, not to just yourself. Well, clearly you're waging war with your body and food. That's predictable. But other people in this same exact fight or flight, imagine if you went into this space with a different belief system that included other people. How you become dangerous, right?
Yeah, right.
To others. Anyways, I just totally went on a tangent. So coming back to you, there are conditions that can drop you back down.
Yeah.
And they're meant to be there. This is the other part. When it comes to food, for example, food is the most important survival mechanism you have, period. There is no argument. Food and water. And they both go hand in hand because you can't have food without water, right?
Right.
So you mess with that and you're toast. There's no way around it. I would be the same way. I have just learned that your state of mind around food very consciously is around, do I have enough? Do I have enough? So even if I was in famine, I've learned, even if I don't have enough, literally, my state of mind of creating I have enough is my survival, right? So the problem for you is you're going into I don't have enough.
Yeah, I am.
That's the dieting. You're not clearly implementing a diet. But the I shouldn't eat this. I've eaten too much. I shouldn't eat this. Anything that says you've done something wrong, this food is bad, it's dangerous. That's another thing. It's I have not had enough, or I don't have enough. But also, it is dangerous. Remember when we talked, I don't know if I've talked to you about this, because we've worked together for quite a long time now. The triggers into survival mode with food are, do I have food? Do I have food? Do I have enough? So a matter of quantity. Can I get more? Can I get more? Right? That's like our need to, in that underlying sense of gratification you get from food storage. I still feel inadequate in my food storage. I feel it. Like there's a component of my like mammalness that says, Robin, you really need to add more food to the food storage. You're toast because you don't have water in the storage, Robin. All those cans are useless without water. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's the third one. Can I get more? That one is oftentimes really triggered around that's bad food. I shouldn't be eating it. Yeah. I will eat less tomorrow. So that hunger scale you're using to manipulate, I shouldn't eat this. I can't get more because I'm full. I can't get more. Right? So do you have food? Is there enough? Can I get more? And the last one is it safe to eat? So I guarantee you that fourth one is a huge trigger for you because of the orthorexia. Yeah. The obsessiveness around the purity and health righteousness of your food. Because you've been indoctrinated by the health industry with food that all food is dangerous except for certain types. Yeah. And even those can be dangerous depending on who you talk to. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which podcast you're listening to this week will change that. But anyway, so food is dangerous, and you might have put the hunger scale into that zone. Anything outside of hunger is dangerous. So the danger response to when you're eating off of hunger comes from the emotionality behind the threat that you think you're going to have. Mm-hmm. I've been full. I do not feel like it's a threat. The threat is really in the moment. I feel like shit. I don't want to do that again. Right? So the threat coming from outside of you would then be, I'm going to be fat. My foot's going to hurt more. I'm going to be diabetic. So that's like the outside bear coming to attack you. If I get full, to me, the danger is me. And I should just stop. I don't want to do it anymore. Right? If I get drunk, I don't want to do that anymore. That's me. It's not something outside of me like, oh my God, my friends are going to leave me and my family's going to hate me, you know. That creates a whole nother level of danger around abandonment, rejection, disapproval. Yeah. Are you tracking with me, or am I just way off on Mars? La la.
No, I'm tracking with you. Okay. I'm working on just listening and taking it in, and not just. I know that I learned through my life to be a pleaser, and I've just been noticing how many times do I just agree when I don't know if I really understand it. So I'm just listening. Good. Well, and trying to just see it as an observer rather than a participator right now. Yeah. Get yourself out on because you need to observe it. If I had someone like this, it would have really helped. And I'm grateful that I could talk to you. So many times I've only talked to you when I've been doing great, not when I've been struggling.
Yeah, and that's a waste of your money. Yeah. I mean, it's confirming, but. Yeah. But you have to be ready for, like, what, and that's what we talked about last time, is, like, what is going to pull you down? Fear is, in terms of our mammal response, it's everything. Once someone has fear, your brain changes where it puts oxygen. It goes into that survival area. The hypothalamus goes, oh, we got to shut down our intelligence and we got to get ourselves to start focusing on what we need to do to get rid of this, hide it. distract from it, deny it, fight it, and or paralyze ourselves like, like a deer that's stuck in a headlight.
Right.
That's our humanness. There's nothing. Those are great things. Those are awesome things. Don't judge them.
Right.
We would not be here if your response that you've been experiencing didn't exist. Human species wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
It's just coming. It's just you're cannibalizing yourself now. There's no point to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the insanity is. If there was an actual bear running from you, this would make sense. And you wouldn't feel so crazy. You wouldn't judge yourself so much. But it's an illusion that you're running from.
Right.
The illusion of sucking, failure, inadequacy. You have so much evidence in your life of success and benefit. And I know you know those exist. But this is like, for some reason, and you can understand it, your body image has become the most identifying and defining success or failure.
Yeah.
Because it's yours. It doesn't include anybody else.
Yes.
It's your survival, so you're cannibalizing yourself.
Yeah.
And you're the bear. You're the one that says, I can't stand my foot pain. That's fine. But as a consequence of your issues with being overweight, can you afford to go back on a diet to fix it for the foot pain?
No, and there's no guarantee that would even fix it.
Well, of course, because it never has. It has temporarily, but you end up going crazy train because you're stuck in a freaking cage in your anorexic moment, and that's going to blow up. And you've done everything, and what out there haven't you done yet? Anyway, so you're stuck in that. You've backed yourself into a corner where it's like, I hate this. I don't like the way I feel. My clothes are tight. I don't want to have to get more clothes. My foot's starting to hurt. There's that victimization on the side of the body. Poor me. I'm a victim. This is terrible. And I suck, right? I'm a victim of myself. I'm a terrible human being. Pathetic, right? There's the narcissism.
Yeah.
And then on the other side is, but I can't diet. I cannot do what I've been doing. The weapons I've been using are hurting me. I do not want to use those weapons. So the weapon I'm using with dieting and restricting and obsessively looking at healthy food stuff and all that insanity, that promised resolution to the other side, first of all, it's a lie. It never works. It's not wired to work. They don't create it to actually work. People who are creating it are insane themselves.
Yeah.
So you're stuck in a corner between the left, which is, I hate my body. I hate it. I loathe it. It's horrible. I am isolating myself. I'm self-destructing in the body, right? The body is killing me.
Right.
And the weapons you've always used to feel better about that, which is worse. It's actually, when you look at both sides, you're to the point where you're like, what I've done is worse. I cannot continue to use those weapons. But how am I going to fight off these feelings around my body?
Yeah, so it's the white flag's up. I surrender.
You can see that's where you're at, right? Backed into a corner between I have been running away and fighting these feelings with the body for decades. Using these weapons. And I cannot use those weapons anymore. It is worse. The suffering of those weapons is worse than the actual shit I feel with the body. So when you're stuck in that corner, you have angst around the body. And you also still have angst around the conditions around the food and the fear-mongering of food. So you're kind of staying in the same spot. It's like you're paralyzed in both feelings.
Yes.
Right? I'm trying not to diet, but I still don't want this. So I have to somewhat create balance with the old dieting I don't want to do, but that's creating impulses to eat, creating more body image problems. So if we black out the dieting from every angle, you're left with the original problem, which is angst around the body.
Yes.
And that's what you have to breathe into your lungs is, what if you are fat forever? Forever. permanently. What if you die and God says, we're going to give you another chance, and He gives you a fat body? What are you going to do? You could do this all over again, sit in this paralysis? Because I want to be better and healthier. I need a healthier body to live. It's not healthy enough.
I would, and I just want to, it just sounds so trite. I just want to go forward today in the permanence of it. And it's just trusting myself that I really can do this.
Well, if you're okay and you forgive yourself for for this struggle, you can have compassion for yourself. There's a really important need for you to feel compassion right now for your situation, for the recovery process, which can be ugly. It can be very ugly. And let me tell you, the recovery process for people who recover very abruptly, it was ugly getting there. So it's ugly getting to this point to where you're willing to let go of weapons that you literally worshipped. Yeah. It's like letting go of a marriage.
Yeah.
Something you thought was beneficial, something that you praised, that you tried to teach other people, that you admonished and you supported and you put on a pedestal and, but it came at a very dark, dark cost that you've hidden, that most people hide. Because they want to praise what they're doing with their weapons, right? Against the issue with body fat and the desire to be thinner and the issues with feeling ashamed of yourself and all the other crap that you're trying to get rid of. So you have to be willing to accept what you've been trying to get rid of. That's why when even clients I have that are 300 pounds, they have to accept that. There's no alternative. If you want to get rid of the cage and the weapons and all the crap that makes you feel inadequate, but promised all this crap that never ends up occurring, you have to face what you don't want, what you're trying to get rid of. So that you'll be free from having to get rid of it. So the simplicity of the solution for you right now is you don't need to fix anything. Nothing needs to be fixed. Whatever's happened in the past 48, 36 hours, it doesn't matter. Nothing's been made wrong. Everything that you've done up until this point is absolutely forgivable. It's understandable. Nothing needs to be fixed. Just accept the fatness. If you can do that, then you get that freedom from having to fix it. If you can't, now the pressure comes back.
Okay.
Did that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
I want to repeat that again, only because I want it to be very simple for you to understand.
Okay.
What you are seeking is peace. I just want peace. I want the water to just settle. The only way for that to happen is for you to lay on your back and to float on the waves. We don't ask the water to stop. We adapt to the water.
Okay.
So the waves, you just adapt to. You float on your back. There's a wave. I'm just going to feel it. And if it takes me under, I'd rather that. Just float on your back. Belly up. So, you do not need to fix anything. Nothing's been made wrong. It's not your job. You've done nothing wrong. Everything that you have done is actually understandable. It is forgivable. Under those circumstances, you've done the best you can. You've actually put your whole heart into this process. And you just need to keep on putting your whole heart into it. Just do it in a way that is accepting failure. The white flag. Yeah. So To get out of that corner, you walk forward. You surrender to the fatness. That is the end result. That is the door. That's the exit. You exit the direction you don't want to go.
Yeah.
So you have to look at wanting freedom. Not wanting to be fat. Willingness to be fat because you want freedom.
Okay.
Did that connect?
Yeah. Willingness to be fat because I want freedom.
Yes. It's a lot of people confuse this from, well, do I need to want to be fat? Like I have to love being fat? No. Never said that. Just means you have to be willing and okay with it. It has to be neutral. You have to be indifferent because of the benefit. You're getting a benefit by accepting this. Mm-hmm. What is the benefit?
Benefit is not obsessing, having it becomes a non-issue, and I live my life.
And how do you feel about yourself? The benefit is, how do you get to feel about yourself?
I feel strength and peaceful, nothing, not superior or inferior, just me. And just
loving. You get to love yourself. You get to love yourself unconditionally. It's an unconditional. You get freedom from the conditions to love yourself. And it's not self-righteous love yourself. It is honor. It is like, I am a good person. And if I'm fat and my body has ailments, you know what? I'm okay with that. If that's the body I've got, that I received in neutrality, I'm not going to shame it anymore. Mm-hmm. And the neutrality is that we're not suggesting you binge. We're not suggesting you starve yourself. We're just suggesting you eat naturally and biologically, right? And so if that turns out for you, you can't get full occasionally. If that turns out for you into, I am sick and ill, your body is sick and ill and you just need to accept it.
Yeah.
I know that sounded really backwards to some people, but when it comes to what you're doing, you're really dangerous with the body. So allowing the body to be naturally regulated, and if it's sick and ill naturally, that's safer than what you've been doing.
Yeah. I spent a lot of years convincing myself that I was free from all illness because of what good care I took of myself.
Yeah, and you were not looking at mental illness at all.
No, not at all. And that's where the freedom really will be there. And it's very humbling, but it also feels very peaceful.
Yeah, and failure is peace.
Yeah.
I have failed, and I don't feel bad. That doesn't mean I'm a bad person.
No.
It just means that maybe I was misguided, misdirected, but I directed that with my heart and soul in my misdirection.
Yeah. I did.
Right? Me too. And I realized that. I was like, damn, girl. I mean, I did it. I did it to the 10th degree plus 5 more.
Yeah.
And nobody, I don't care how terrible a human you are, deserves to be shamed this way.
Yeah.
And
I have to say that I have felt stuck and in a corner, but I haven't really felt ashamed. That's a big change. I haven't felt...
That's good.
I feel I'm okay with that. I'm okay with me not getting it or not and handling things in such a destructive way for my body. I just am grateful that my body is so forgiving and it gives me so much strength and that I can move around and enjoy my life.
Yeah, it's been able to handle everything you've done to it.
Yeah. Really,
what does that tell you, too, about, everything that you've done to it, to the intermittent starving, the binge eating, the level, the HCG protocol that's been used as an abusive tool, all those tools, those weapons that you've turned against your own body, your body actually, even with all of that, is still loyal to your life. It's still giving you consciousness. It's still saying, I will fight to keep you here.
Yeah. It's responded beautifully through everything.
Mm-hmm. Even though you've hated it. Hated the...
and I've always tried to manipulate it. And I was thinking about when I used to go to CrossFit and how hard I would work it, and just all of how intense I was about it, and how I would go like every day,
mm-hmm.
and all of the cortisol levels that got so high. I mean, looking back, I can see why even in CrossFit I would gain, because I was just so intense. My poor body was just trying to keep up.
Oh yeah, well, and you're gaining muscle and fluid, but your endocrine system's getting the crap beat out of it. Yeah. Again, the body is just like going into neutrality, where you just live in peace. Let it tell you, like flipping the coin, like go into neutrality with the body. Let it tell you. If it gets diseased by that you might want to find out, right? What you're doing is. Go ahead.
Can you give me just a little guidance on one thing came up for me today with I've been wearing my Apple Watch for a long time, and I have like 90 days of closing all 3 rings. And I decided today that was not healthy in a way of, I haven't really associated exercise with my eating, because my exercise has just been slow walking, nothing that felt like any kind of a purge. I just have decided that I can't really attach anything to, I don't even know if I know how to say it, but I'm just trying to rid myself of any structure around what I have to do with my body, like how I have to move so much per day.
Correct. That's what I had to do too. I had to, every weapon, even if anything that you've attached, you're feeling that. You can feel, it's like, well, okay. It's not as abusive, but it's the integrity behind it is. So eliminate it. I would totally agree. This is where we're going into face what you're running from, what you're walking slowly from, whatever you want to say. The Versa climber for 2 hours. What am I doing that for? Look at, again, you're backed into a corner. We're getting rid of what your weapons are. You're forced then to look at what you're fighting. Yeah. So get rid of, and this is how it was so abrupt for me, is because, again, the suicide wasn't for the body fat. It was because I was so miserable with all those weapons. The weapons were literally the exercise, the extreme calorie counting, the amount of books I was reading on macros and how to organize and body fat and figuring out metabolism, and my whole degrees in exercise science, not because of, I love the human body, but it was really started because I was obsessive around metabolism.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just thinking maybe if I just
eliminate it. That's what I did. And I said I cannot reintegrate anything until I am at the mercy of the body. So I am going to get rid of every weapon possible. I will allow the body to become whatever it's going to be. If it ends up being 500 pounds, I would rather. And from there, I will live from the heart moving forwards. Even so, the human body needs activity. The human body needs food, needs sleep, needs fun. It needs nature. It needs all these things that I've used and twisted into an abusive weapon. So I'm not going to allow myself to use them, which brings you to that feeling of I'm going to die. I will obliterate into thin air. I will be dust in the wind. Right? And I said, I would rather. So you sit and you do nothing, and you do it intentionally. That's the willingness that we're talking about here. That feeling, I want you to talk about what it feels to be willing to sacrifice. And permanent. It's a permanent willingness. It's not just temporary willingness. That's where a lot of people have problems and relapse too, because they are temporarily willing to be fat. They don't make it permanent.
Yeah, well, just willing to not have a list of boxes to check, willingness to listen to the body, to, like with the watch, for example, maybe I stand up 12 times because I feel the urge to stand up, because my body needs to stand up, not because that will close the ring. It's just being willing to let the body tell me what it needs.
Yeah, well, and let the body free from you.
To let the body be free from me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did that feel good?
Yeah.
It's not your body.
Yeah.
The life it's providing you isn't even yours.
Mm-hmm.
It's the body's life. The amazing thing is, if your body were to go into a coma, the body would still provide life.
Yeah.
It would still provide life. The heart would still beat under certain, obviously with the aid of a hospital. If you were in a coma, your body could sustain itself for quite a long time with those minimal things that it needs. The water, the excretion, the food, the nutrients that they can put in you. It doesn't need you to keep on living.
Right.
You live off machines. Look at Stephen Hawking, the smartest man on the planet.
Yeah.
Doesn't need him.
Yeah. I've experienced a lot of this, but there's a lot of angles, like you said, I haven't looked at it from, so maybe I can just look forward to having that awareness from these other angles too, as I'm willing to look at the fear that's keeping me from going there and just walk into
it. One technique you can do is eliminate everything. So what it does is it's very direct. Is it forces you to face it's going to feel like you're going to die. It's going to feel like you're going to get murdered because it's from an outside. It feels like it's coming from an outside source. Like the body's going to kill me. And eventually the body is going to die and your consciousness will go with it.
Yeah.
In the end, that's the biggest risk. Yeah, so get rid of everything. Get rid of the watch. Get rid of the time. Get rid of everything you do to create that type of forced structure that is, you can feel it. It's there to keep you safe. It makes you feel safe. You have to surrender those things. You have to willingly surrender, not defensively surrender them.
Right.
Because you're the one who's done.
Yeah.
You're the one who can't do it anymore. You don't want to hold on to anything anymore. So what you end up having left is your integrity, like the reality of your heart. That's what you have left. You have nothing else but the heart. It's like dying. It's like go through death. Let yourself die. Figuratively. I'm not suggesting you kill yourself. I'm telling you to let that feeling of I'm going to die, let it happen. Go through the reconciliation process towards to be at the bottom with nothing. And then the rebirth occurs, at least for me, if you want to call it that, when you start from zero, which is you, which is this, I have my heart, I have my integrity. And if the body I'm in is only meant to be alive for 5 more years, I'll take it. That's 5 years of practice. That's 5 years of me living authentically. If it has 20 more years, that would be awesome. That means I have a lot of practice time.
Yeah.
To just stay, like I use the term belly up. Just stay vulnerable. Be real.
Yeah.
Be real in your heart and let that guide you rather than all of these checks and balances on the outside out of fear. All of it's there because you're afraid. So fear is driving everything. So if you're sick and tired of it and you're sick and tired of having all of this obsessive compulsive behavior, you have to face your fear. There's no other way to do it other than for example, someone who cleans a knob 15 times. You have to do it 15 times. The only way for them to stop is to accept disease. You're going to be diseased. I have to go into the disease. You have to be willing to be diseased to stop having to clean like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful thing. I do see that, and that's what I would like. I wanted that.
So start by not fixing anything.
Okay.
You don't have to fix anything. When you're hungry, you eat. And don't think about it. Don't manage it. Just let the body tell you what to do. And you're to keep quiet. It's not your business. It's not your job. You're not to tell the body what it has to do. You're to just say, I will surrender to that. I'm done. I surrender.
Yeah.
Even if I get fat, I surrender. And the crazy thing is when you do that, what do you think is going to happen to your issues with food?
There would not be any reason for them to be there.
No, it'll feel like you lost. Like it's not the same as I'm a failure. It's I'm done playing this game. I am the loser.
Yeah.
I cannot afford to control this anymore. I clearly have lost. I surrender. Yeah. And I will do what it says. And it's not self-loathing. It isn't for me. No. Which is, that's narcissism.
No, it's willing. It's willing.
Yeah, it is. I am done. I will do what you say.
Yeah, without any distress surrounding it at all. It's just easy. It's just is what it is.
Yes, and it is. So when I say humble, that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
You feel the difference?
You
feel that?
I do.
It is very, very small.
It's just gentle.
Mm-hmm. Very small. That's what yes. And it isn't self-pity, self-loathing. It isn't negative. It is just real. Like, this is meek. The meekness of it.
Yeah.
That's what I meant by you open your gut up to be filleted. If that's what happens, you surrender.
Okay.
That meekness is what that right there is what this takes.
All right.
I visualized it, and that's how it felt to me. It's like I am being murdered, and I'm not going to fight anymore. So if I get my head cut off, I will allow it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to fight. The fighting is worse than the murder.
Yeah.
So I go limp. It's like I'm floating on the ocean that has massive waves. I'm just going to go limp. I'm done fighting those waves. Done obsessing about where they're at, trying to control what they're doing. I don't want the waves defining my life. I would rather float.
Yeah.
And look at this sky. And let go for a ride on those waves, Okay. All right. Let me turn this session off. I'll upload it today. So you can watch this today if you need to rewatch it, okay?
Okay.